Good morning, guys. So we're still here working on the JON boat. We've pretty much finished framing the back deck out of our lumber. Just a quick recap of what we got going on. Starting up here at the front, we have our front support. There will be a plastic face on the front, and we're hoping to have a lid or a hatch up there at the front so you can reach up underneath and store stuff there. We are going to do in this whole area pretty much the same thing that we did down here, back here I mean, is we're going to take some 1/2-inch plywood and we're going to raise the corners and make this like a top. We did this in 2 pieces. We will probably do this in 3 pieces. And what it does is it just kind of finishes the boat nicely. We will put a thin piece of plastic over the top of these and it will look very, very nice. Just kind of gives it a little extra added finish. So like I said, we're pretty much all done with the framing here at the back. This was just a little test piece, you know, to get our contours right and stuff. It is extremely hard to get all this done up correctly, and then our lids will sit on top of this. So I'm going to take a break from doing this because just tired of doing it, and we got some other stuff we got to do. So we're gonna go ahead and finish the flooring, at least get all the flooring cut and epoxied. So it's very key, especially here at Mealey Marine. We like doing things 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I've begun to learn that it's just better to take your time and do the measurements instead of cutting and scrapping a big piece of wood. So I just found some 1/2-inch scrap and I marked it all out, and now I have a template for this side. I'm gonna make a template for that side. I'm gonna walk you guys through how we do it here, and then you measure across. I'll give you the width of the board, and then you can use these templates as a guide for cutting them out. Something extremely important to remember is that on a JON boat, pretty much any boat, the walls are slanted outwards. So the farther you go up, the wider the boat is, and the farther you go down, the less it is. So if you have like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, it really matters over the distance of this. You can actually be off by quite a few inches just by raising it up. So it's very key to remember that. Also, the other thing is this is going to be wrapped with carpet, so we need some good gaps. And to make it fit really nice, radiusing the corners or the edge that butts up to here makes it fit very nicely. So like I said, I'm gonna set the camera up. I'm gonna show you guys how I'm did this side over there, and then we'll finish just doing the whole rest of the boat. We'll make all of our templates at one time while I'm in the groove of doing it, and then we'll cut our pieces. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's just go ahead and get into this. Obviously, first thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need to know your width of the board in here. So I already got the board pre-cut. Like I said, this is a template piece, and this piece is not put down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to butt it up. You can't see it, but right here and right here is a weld seam. So I'm going to put it on this side of the weld. I'm not going to push it up because then it starts climbing up. So I'm going to put it up there like that. All right, now I'm going to take my pencil. I'm sorry if I'm walking through this a little quickly. It's about 100 some odd degrees here in the shop. And I'm going to mark the edge of this strut or the support brace, because that's where we're going to angle it to fit in here, because these are angled out. And go through here. I'm going to mark them. If they're a little oversized, that's fine. Then my square, I'm going to square it up. Just extend my lines down. Cool. So one of the last things you're going to need to know before you take it out of here is you're going to need to know how deep you're going to make your your angles, right? So how far back does this board sit? So this is 4 3/8. But you got to remember, it's slanted, so it's probably more like 4 1/4. And I know that because I've already done this 3 times now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my tape measure. I know I suck at using tape measures. I'll mark 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Then I'm going to take a straight edge. I'm going to pull this out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mark my 4 1/2 deep line going across. All right. Make it really nice and dark so hopefully you guys can see it. I don't know if you guys can. Kind of. All right, so here's one brace. Here's another brace. Okay. And then what we are going to do is you're going to need to know an angle to cut at. So we've talked about this in pretty much every previous video. If you are working on a boat, I think this is or fabricating on a boat, this is a extremely useful tool, and I would highly recommend it. Link down in the description. If you buy through that link, it does help us out, and we want to make more videos and buy nicer equipment and stuff. So if you support us, we'll provide better stuff. So moving on is we need to know the angle, and I've already kind of come up with this. This is going to take a little bit of practice and playing with it and stuff, but I have mine set at 20 degrees, 22 degrees. I'm just going to go through, mark them. All right. Then I'm going to turn it over. It's really hard. I'm going to set it up here. It is extremely hot. Like, as my buddy Jose says, you know it's hot when your arms are sweating. And when you're sweating, at least when I'm sweating, I have a really hard time concentrating. So be sure to drink lots of water. So we got that there. The only one we need to mark, left to mark, is this one over here. And I'm going to just butt this one up to the edge of the board. We're going to cut it. Alright, so let's see if you guys can see that. I think you can see it like that. So we got our cutouts here. We're going to have to radius this corner. We're going to radius all the corners. We're going to radius in here. And you'll see. So we'll take you over to the bench and we'll get to work on it. So I got my lines, just pulled it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my trusty radius gauge. And I'm going to radius these corners like so. Now, something that I've learned about working on boats, and if you guys have been watching our videos long enough, you'll know that I come from a machining background, working for my dad, it's very hard to get anything perfect. And what I mean perfect is, on a bow, I would say less than 1/8 of an inch is pretty freaking perfect. So that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. I know in home building, you know, that's really not that big of a deal. But you know, if you're a perfectionist, kind of like we are, you're just gonna have to come to grips and terms that that boat is not perfect. It wasn't built perfect. It's old. It has dents and dings and stuff, and it was made, I think those were made by hand, so you can definitely tell that. So all right, I got my radiuses in the corner. I missed one over here. It's important because since you're on an angle, square corners aren't going to fit into anything. Now what we're going to do is we're going to radius these 4 corners, and what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a hole saw. This is I believe a 7/8 or 1 inch. Doesn't really matter, whatever you think looks good. I'm just gonna pop a hole those places. It'll make it easier for the jigsaw to go around. So I'll go ahead and I'm gonna do that, and then I'll take you guys over to the jigsaw and show you guys what I'm gonna do. Okay, now that I got my holes cut, I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna follow the line with my jigsaw. Pretty self-explanatory. I am not gonna record this because you guys know, if you don't know how to use a jigsaw, you probably shouldn't be working on your boat. And boom, there we go. We got a nicely installed piece. Now just remember, carpet is, we have to have a carpet allowance, right? So carpet will cover a lot of these holes. I would say that one thing I do need to work on is I need to radius this corner a little bit more, and then also I need to radius the bottom of this. Like I said, it's extremely important to radius the bottom. I just wanted to do a quick fit, so I'm going to radius this first, put it back. If it needs some more, I'll take some more off this side. You can see I kind of messed up with the saw anyways, but it doesn't matter because these are test pieces. But I hope that kind of helps you guys if you're doing the flooring in your boat.